once again, I am getting to a movie way too late. This is a film that I saw like a few previews for, what was it, about a month or two ago, something like that. And it's not like War of the Worlds where I heard nothing about it, and suddenly everybody was talking about it, and I had to see how bad it was. And this certainly, spoiler, is not a bad movie. But this was a movie that some people were asking me, have I seen it yet? Have I seen it yet? I'm like, oh yeah, it kind of looked like Spider-Verse. I really love those movies, so I was a little curious to check it out. And then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it just exploded. I think right now it's Netflix's most watched movie. I think it topped the box office this past weekend too, because they did a short release of like a sing-along with it, and it is just taking the world by storm. The songs are just massive, huge hits, and you know, a lot of times I was kind of wondering, I'm like, well, is it worth doing a review later, one of these vlog reviews, because is there anything really that new I'm going to add to it? Because, yeah, I will just admit, I think what a lot of people think. I think this movie is wonderful. I love the animation. I like the story. I love the style. So I was thinking to myself, well, is there a point maybe I can just let people ask me on stream, you know, I just give my quick thoughts. And then I was thinking about, like, no, I think there's one or two unique things I can add to it that maybe people haven't touched on as much. And basically just the sum up of the, you all probably know the story now, but I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's KPop Demon Hunters. It is this K-pop band that, fights demons, and they do it through song, and it is everything you would want this idea to be. As soon as you see the trailer and you say, what is the best version of this movie that there could be, just looking at the trailer, you pretty much get it. This is a film that not only embraces its art style and its musical, not just musical background, but it also has songs that are not just sung by the band, but it actually is a musical. The music is used to further the story. And it's also not done in a way where songs are just played in the background, like, oh, I'm just gonna play a song here and maybe the song will tie into what's going on. No, like, they will sing about their emotions. It is a traditional musical, while there are moments of them going on stage and performing, rehearsing, and all that. So that's very nice to see. I like musicals that incorporate that. And it definitely reminds me a little bit of another big hit this year that kind of took a lot of cinemas by storm, Sinners. Very much utilized the music big time. Some debate whether or not it's a musical. I don't know if I call it a musical necessarily, but music definitely plays a huge part in its identity. For me, a musical is when somebody is going through an emotion and words aren't enough, they have to sing it. And they do it in a way where the rest of the world, the environment, isn't thrown off by it. If you were to sing in real life, people would be like, well, that's weird. That's an odd thing for a person to do, just sing their emotions, and it's not a prepared song and everything. It's just something they're just singing off the top of their heads like we're talking right now. That's a musical to me, and that is what this film does. So I love that, because it so easily could have been a movie just about these pop bands, and they just sing these songs, and they're still great songs, but you could just stop there. But instead, they went the extra mile, and that's what I feel like this movie is doing. It really goes the extra mile, and they fight demons. They, like I said, through song in a way that at first I was a little confused by, but again, there is kind of a visual language to this movie, and I'm like, all right, I think I bought it okay, where the more they sing, the more they get the world kind of singing the same song. It's a very peaceful song, it's very harmonizing and everything. It keeps the underworld, the demons and everything down, like creates this barrier that keeps them in the underworld. And so when it started off, I thought this was basically going to be a smarter version of Totally Spies. So if you're watching this movie and you see them just doing their fighting and singing pop songs while they're defeating these demons and everything, and you're like, oh, is this all it's gonna be? No. And even if it was, it would be very good, because it's very well done, it's very stylized. But I did think at first, oh, is there not gonna be much substance to this? But it really does embrace, as I'm finding out from a lot of people saying online, that not only does it really embrace the Korean culture, but embraces big-time Korean media. And I'm definitely not an expert on this, but I've seen bits and pieces here and there, and you can definitely tell they grasp up a lot of like Korean soap operas, obviously Korean music, social cues from Korea. There's a lot of people saying that some of the dilemmas, particularly the main character is going through in this, really taps into what a lot of Korean people go through and how they feel, just day-to-day life, feeling like they can't always talk about certain things or they have to keep some things hidden. So it's really tapping into a lot of that, and the director and writer said that they really wanted to dive a lot into that, be very, very genuine and authentic, while still being entertaining. And I think that's a big component to this, is that all the songs and the story and everything, it is hugely entertaining and it looks great. This is definitely a movie that embraces that Spider-Verse style of, is sort of, I don't want to stay, I can talk. Cutting frames. God, sorry, brain fog moment. So it's not even cutting frames. I'm getting the terminology wrong. My apologies. But certainly where you don't see as much blurring when somebody goes like this in live action and in animation, you're gonna see a blur there, but they don't do that. You see individual cuts there. There's no smearing, as they say in animation, where they have like a blur there. You see it in Spider-Verse, you saw in the second Puss in Boots movie. It's becoming a more and more popular style. I really dig it. I enjoy it quite a bit. I know there's some people that can't get into it, but I really do like it quite a bit. And as the story goes on, so I know I'm really all over the place with this, but so is the movie to some extent, so it's all right. But as the film goes on, you find out the main character has a secret. I guess I won't say what it is, but, she's hiding it from people. She's hiding it from her other band members there. And the solution from the demons, this is when I knew I was going to like this movie. And I said, all right, this is going to be smart, is you got the underworld, they're all the demons, they're all saying, how are we going to stop these K-pop demon hunters? How are we going to rise to the, the surface and take over everything? And somebody comes out and says, well, how are they doing? They're doing with a K-pop girl band, yeah, what do you suggest? Why don't we create a K-pop boy band? And there's just this silence in the underworld. I'm like, do it. And that's the plan. They're gonna take them out with the K-pop boy band. So you can tell this has a very, very good sense of humor. And of course, obviously the musical is wonderful. The music is wonderful in it. But through the humor and through the style, again, much like the Spider-Verse movies, they do work in this drama. That is something that, as a lot of people said, Korean people can certainly identify with, but I feel like it's just a very human thing in general. I think everybody can identify with this drama of having to hide something. You feel like you can't entirely be yourself for fear of like shame or rejection from, people you hold very dear to you and you value very much. And one of the members of the boy band, of course, falls in love with, this member in the girl band. And that is very classic. That's a very standard trope. This movie does embrace its tropes very much, and it doesn't act like it's the first film to do these tropes. That's what I like. I don't mind a film that does a lot of cliches, a lot of tropes we've seen over and over, but they have to be aware they're not the first ones to do it, and that's not enough. You have to add more. There has to be something else to it that keeps us interested, and that's what this film does. It keeps adding new elements on top of it to a point where when it's going a direction that I know it's gonna go, there's some beats it's gonna hit, I'm actually looking forward to when they're gonna hit those beats, when they're gonna actually get to that point, because I wanna see the way they do it. I wanna hear the song that they use, I wanna see the animation style that they use, and I wanna see the different characters and creatures they bring into it. And forgive me, I'm sure everybody knows the name of this thing now, but there's a creature in there that I think is like delivering a note. It's like this tiger and I think a bird on his head. And there's just a little running joke about how it likes to straighten out this vase. Like whenever it appears, this vase knocks over, and he straightens it out. And there's a great scene because I'm thinking to myself, well, I know what the joke is going to be. He's going away, he looks at the vase, he's going to straighten out the vase before he goes. That's not what happens. He's going away and he's just looking at the vase. And then he disappears. And that was so much funnier. That is a good example of a film knowing when to follow through with the joke and when not to follow through, when to hold back. Holding back actually made that funnier. And I'm sure there was a version of that scene where he straightens it out, or someone might have even recommended it, and somebody said, no, you gotta just have him look at it. That's it. That's funnier. So they know comedy, and again, they know drama, because this film like a lot of anime films recently in the past 20 or so years, knows how to balance out the comedy with pretty good dramatic moments, not just in what they're saying, but visually how they're showing it. I think of something like Kung Fu Panda, which is, again, just saying that title sounds hilarious and sounds so weird, but it actually is not only a very funny film, but a very beautiful film, and has a lot of very good drama to it, and does tie into a lot of cultural significance of where these martial arts moves and these philosophies are coming from. And this film definitely taps into a lot of that too. Again, not being a Korean expert by any means, you can still get the gist that this feels authentic, this feels right, and especially because it makes me want to learn more about the culture. It pulls me in more and more, not just through the characters, but just the surroundings in general. And it sounds like it's doing that for a lot of people all over the world, which is great to see. And I guess I have to talk about just stuff that everybody's talking about. What's my favorite song in the movie? At first I did like the Soda Pop song quite a bit. It really is catchy. But what is it? Takedown? The kind of villain song? So there's a villain song afterwards, which everybody's like, oh, that's gonna be his favorite. I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I really like Takedown. Again, I think any song that really encompasses conflict. I always call it the fuck it all song, like Let It Go or Be Prepared or something like that, where they're just like, I am done with this, or just, something's getting shaken up, something's going down, the jets are gonna rumble tonight, that's anything that really encompasses conflict, I'm really gonna like it. That's the one I love. I love in the middle of that, the way it's shot, the way it's sung, it's very intimidating. It might as well be a villain song, and it's not even that long, but it's just so cool. It's such an awesome moment. But yes, I think that's another great thing about it, is that everybody can watch this film and probably find a different song that they really like and they really gravitate towards. I also really like the groups, particularly the main group. It has distinct personalities, but they're not something where they're always super deep or super complex. Like, you feel like you understand them just enough that you like them, and you like them as a group. They work well off each other. And you can have moments where the one that looks more cynical can be a little silly, or the one that's a little bit more silly can be a little bit more cynical, and it doesn't break character. Sorry, I hit the mic there. And what I saw in this film that I wanted to see more in another film, and I ultimately did end up liking this film, but some people were asking, like, well, what was I looking for with it? Years ago, I'm sure you all remember this, Turning Red came out, and for me, I adore the last third of that movie. And the rest of it I found kind of annoying, and it kind of got on my nerves, and one of the things I didn't like is that the friends, the support group in that, felt too one note. They kind of all had the same expression the whole time, and everybody kind of moved the same, and that didn't feel right to me. Like, the mother moved exactly the same as the angry friend moved exactly the same as the main character, almost all of them moved alike. And I have some issues with it, but again, I love that last third. And I think that film's going to do very well. I think years from now, that's going to be seen as this past generation's like a goofy movie, you know what I mean? Where it's like it did okay when it came out, if it even did that, but then it's going to grow a following. I know that's going to happen. But when people are asking, what was I looking for with that? It's like, I wanted that last third of that movie stretched out to the whole thing. And that is what I feel like this is. This is really taking the style, and it is just using it to really heighten everything. Heighten the music, heighten the comedy, heighten the drama, heighten the animation style. It really helps tell the story better. And I know there's people that, again, can look at Turning Red and absolutely love it. Fair enough, the first 2/3 there. But for me, the style was more keeping me at a distance. It was kind of keeping me out of getting into the emotions of what was going on. It's a very particular style, too, that I think some people get into and some don't. And I think it just needs to be done like how this one is doing it, where it incorporates the emotion a lot more, I felt like. And there was more variety to the attitudes and the reactions that people were having. So, and like I said, with that last third, Turning Red, even the action sequence, as soon as they tried to get the red panda out of her, at that point on, I think the film's pretty perfect. I mean, just an absolute perfect film, some of Pixar's best. But I was going, man, I wish I wish I had a whole movie like that. And this feels closer to that, even though there's many things about it that are different, that are very, very different. You know, this isn't really a coming-of-age story. Yes, the characters are young, but I wouldn't really call it that. And there are a lot of young person tropes. Again, the romance in this of the two sides not supposed to be in love, the forbidden love. I mean, these are all such classic tropes. But again, the charm of the characters and the writing and the way it's told really adds this unique spin on it that, like I said, I feel like just pulls more and more people in. I think even people that don't have an awareness of, you know, much Korean media, like I don't have a ton, you know, like I said, I have a little bit, but it does make me want to find out more and more. I think we're seeing that happen everywhere. The only thing I can think of that I could see as kind of a minus with it is that in the last third of the movie, I got the idea that the film was starting to wrap up, and then it doesn't. But it was okay because what it was doing was still interesting and kept my attention. But then when I actually did get to the point where it was wrapping up, okay, here's the big climax, it was a little quick. So it had a few pacing issues in the last third where I thought it was gonna end. I thought they could have tightened it up a little bit. And then where it is actually ending, I feel they could have expanded that a little bit. This definitely feels like a movie where they've earned their right to, you know, go big or go home, and they definitely go really, really big, but they don't go big everywhere. They know when to pull back. They know when to keep it subtle. And I think that's a spot where they could have flipped it around a little bit, and that I did recall saying to myself, man, I'm into this, but I feel like I would be even more into this if they tweaked a few things in the last third. So that is pretty minor because, again, I can't really say I was bored necessarily, but something did feel a little off in that last third. But it is a nitpick because whenever it was feeling off, it would get back on track pretty quick. And it's hard to look at the story and say, well, yeah, this doesn't add up, this doesn't connect, you know, this isn't where it should go. No, it feels like it should go this direction. I just feel like there was something else they could have, like I said, tweaked a little bit there. In some areas they should have pulled back a little bit, in some areas they should have expanded. But for the most part, I had a really good time with this. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. All the laughs get a laugh. All the dramatic moments are legit dramatic. All the songs are very catchy. I mean, as the world, again, is showing us. So I had a good time with this. You're not going to hear anything that different from me, but at the same time, it is great to not only see a film like this do very, very well, but do well in a very unique way. Like, okay, Netflix isn't a small streaming service, obviously. I mean, they've just been on fire this past week. I feel like anytime I want to watch something on streaming, I just keep it on Netflix. I haven't looked at a lot of the other streaming channels because there's just so much on Netflix to watch right now. And that's one of the reasons it took me so long. There's just so many other things to watch. And I love that it went from, you know, a movie that many say should have been released on the big screen, but, you know, instead went to Netflix, you know, which is still, like I said, a massive streaming platform. But it took the world by storm. It rose pretty quick, but then instead of getting that initial drop, excuse me, it did maybe a little bit, but then it just kind of kept rising higher and higher and higher. And then they had this theatrical release that I think was only for a weekend. I'm sure there's got to be more, you know, and that was a sing-along. These are really blowing up, which is also great to see. I like that they're they're giving a space for people who want to do something like Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I know it's not exactly that. People aren't bringing things to throw or anything yet. I bet they will. Everybody will bring soda pops or something. I don't know. But I like that movies right now are getting a reputation as a place to go if you want to be annoyed. Well, why watch a film there? Well, I can just watch it at home. I don't have to watch it with all these annoying people or people talking or screaming or whatever. And to some extent, I get that. But, you know, when you do get an annoying audience or audience member, that is a pain. I do understand that. But at the same time, there's a communal element to it that you can't really replace. It's like saying, well, why do I want to see this band in concert? I could just listen to them on my headphones. No, there is something about that communal connection of everybody experiencing something, either for the first time or for the millionth time, but you're experiencing it with this group of people, this distinct group of people. It's the same thing with seeing stand-up. Why listen to somebody tell funny jokes? Or why go to a stand-up club or something like that. I can just stay at home and listen to somebody tell jokes. It's like, because there is something about that communal reaction, that everybody's there, has a similar interest, and is there to feel good. And we all can do it together. And I really love that about movies, and that's why a lot of people say, in some ways, movies are doing poorly, but in other ways, they're doing very well. There's always that handful that are breaking records and doing fantastic. And I hope studios are looking more at that handful of movies like this one and saying, okay, what are they doing? And let's truly try to understand that rather than just copy it, rather than just do the second servings of it. Actually try to understand what it's doing, and let's create something new with that. It can have callbacks to that. It can have something similar, but it's still creating something that people want to enjoy together. And I do like that they're doing these sing-alongs, but I will admit, I would like if they released this movie just on its own, without the sing-along. I get why they're doing it. It's made a bundle, and again, it's great to see all these people come together, but I am somebody who likes to look at the animation too. I like to take in the sound of it. I like to take in the huge sound system and everything. I like to take in how beautifully animated it is and how different it is on the big screen. And that's just different as sing-along. So I am all for having both. I'm sure they did, I think Frozen did one before. Once in a while, these are a thing. But, I think the one that really exploded was Wicked, when they had to tell people, do not sing during the songs. They said, well, why don't we have a screening where people do that? We've done that before. So I don't mind that these are becoming a thing, but I do want a version of it without the sing-along. I think that's important too, especially if it's only on streaming. But again, it made like a bajillion bucks at the box office and just doing that one weekend. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna do more, I would like a screening where it's not a sing-along as well. I've never been to one of these sing-alongs. I have been to stuff like, a viewing of The Room or like a Her Picture Show where people bring stuff to throw and everything. But I would be curious to go to one. Maybe this one in particular I think would be pretty fun. But yes, I would like to see it just on its own too. So yeah. I enjoy it. It's imaginative, it's funny, it's dramatic, the animation is spectacular. It's more than enough to recommend. I love that this style of filmmaking is becoming more and more popular. And again, I brought this up a lot of times in Nostalgia Critic, that there's this thing that we always talk about, we always make jokes about, this checkbox of things we have to have for, diversity and stuff like that. And I always say it doesn't matter as long as the story is good. And I feel like there's so many things that have come out that do technically check those check boxes, but the first focus is telling a good story, having good characters, being memorable, innovating, actually having something that maybe people haven't seen before, or maybe they're seeing it in a new way. That has to be priority number one, in my opinion. Everything else sure is important, but that's not the most important. To me, you take something that's just an interesting idea, the K-pop Demon Hunters, don't you immediately want to know the story of that? And you could be like, nah, that sounds silly, it sounds kind of lame, whatever, but just the idea, if this was really a thing that existed, wouldn't you want to know their story? So that's kind of what I'm talking about, where you get a good idea and you really build upon it. And if it comes from this culture, dive into that culture. Show why this culture is interesting and show why these people would be interesting in that culture. Don't just have them in there and say, pat yourself on the back, job well done. No, make them interesting. Get people into it. There's so many people now that are looking up more and more things about Korean culture because of this movie. This is the right way to do it. So yes, again, I'm hoping people are looking at this and studios are looking at this and saying, okay, what are they doing that we need to utilize? And in what way can we screw it up and get the wrong idea? But you know what? Sometimes, even when they misunderstand something, that can lead to something good, because somebody, creative can come along, take that, and create something new with it. So either way, I'm glad this thing is taking off. I'm glad everybody's loving it. I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the Spider-Verse movies. I do like those a little bit more, and I think I do like Puss in Boots 2 a little bit more too. I'm saying that because they have kind of similar styles, but they are different quite a bit. I'm glad this style is still really, really popular. I like it's a movie that you can pause kind of any scene and it looks great. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited this is blowing up as much as it is. With that said, what were your thoughts? Do you agree with everybody? Do you think that this is just a stellar, spectacular, wonderful experience to go through, and you love the music, you've heard it a million times? Have you gone to the sing-alongs? Have you watched it with friends? Have you done any TikTok videos on it? I mean, all this stuff, like I said, is absolutely exploding. Or do you think it's overrated? Do you think people are blowing it out of proportion? Do you think there isn't as much here as they're saying, and they're just recycling stuff that either has been done in Korean culture over and over, it isn't anything that new, or in, you know, the Spider-Verse movies and stuff like that, we've seen this stuff before? Or are you somewhere in between where you're like, I had a good time, I had some fun songs to bop to, I enjoyed it just enough? So let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Take care.